A $14 t-shirt, marked up to $195, wrapped in tissue paper, and sold to you as heritage craftsmanship. A marketing budget 23 times larger than the quality control department. A logo so overexposed it's doing more work than the stitching ever will. If you've handed your credit card to any of the brands, on this list, what I'm about to show you is going to sting. But it might also be the most valuable 10 minutes you spend this week, because today we're breaking down 5 men's fashion brands that are actively robbing you blind. And then I'll hand you 5 true heritage alternatives that prove real quality doesn't require a second mortgage. Here's what most people never think to ask. Where does the "I hate money" actually go when you tap your card at checkout? Because the fashion industry has spent decades making sure you never look behind the curtain. They want you fixated on the logo, the campaign imagery, the celebrity ambassador. What they don't want you to see is the bill of materials, the actual factory cost of what you're holding in your hands. And once you see those numbers, the illusion collapses fast. I've spent years digging into teardown reports, factory routing sheets, and independent lab analyses on fabrics and construction. Not because I enjoy ruining people's favorite brands, but because someone has to say what the sales associate never will. Today, we're going brand by brand, dollar by dollar. The 5 that are fleecing you will come first. Then the 5 that restore your faith in what menswear can actually be. And fair warning, some of these are going to surprise you. A brand you're wearing right now might be on the wrong side of this list. Let's find out. Let's start with the brands earning that "robbing you blind" title. And I'll show you exactly how they earn it, line item by line item. First up on the list of offenders, Hugo Boss. Now, Hugo Boss occupies this strange middle ground where the branding screams luxury, but the product whispers fast fashion. Their mainline suits retail anywhere from $600 to over $1,000. Based on publicly available supply chain data and independent garment analysis, the estimated production cost on a standard Boss suit sits somewhere around $80 to $110. That's a markup hovering around 8 to 10 times the factory cost. Where's the rest going? In their most recent annual report, Hugo Boss disclosed marketing and selling expenses north of 1.5 billion euros. You're not paying for better fabric, you're subsidizing billboards in Times Square and influencer deals on Instagram. The construction on most of their mainline pieces uses fused interlinings rather than canvas construction, a cost-cutting method that typically appears in suits a fraction of this price point. In my analysis, when you buy Hugo Boss at full retail, you're paying a logo tax that could fund a small country's tourism board. Number 4, True Religion. This one's almost a case study in what happens when hype replaces substance. At their peak, True Religion jeans were selling for $300 and above. The signature horseshoe stitching became a status symbol. But here's the math that nobody was doing at the time. Industry analysts estimated the production cost of a pair of True Religion jeans at roughly $12 to $18. That's not a typo. $12. The denim weight was unremarkable, the hardware was standard, and the fit, while distinctive, wasn't engineered any differently than competitors at a third of the price. True Religion filed for bankruptcy in 2017. The brand has since restructured, but the playbook remains familiar. Heavy branding, moderate materials, prices that assume you won't ask questions. Based on the evidence, what you were really buying was a back pocket logo and a cultural moment that expired. Number 3 on the overpriced list, Calvin Klein Mainline. And I want to be specific here, because Calvin Klein operates across multiple tiers, and the licensing structure is where the real story hides. Calvin Klein licenses its name to different manufacturers across dozens of product categories. That means the company whose name is on the label often isn't the company that designed, sourced, or manufactured the product. A Calvin Klein dress shirt retailing for $85 may be produced by a licensee whose primary concern is hitting a margin target, not delivering the quality you associate with the brand's reputation. According to reporting on PVH Corp's licensing structure, this is standard practice. The brand equity does the selling. The licensee does the manufacturing. And you, the consumer, bridge the gap with your wallet. In my view, what you're buying in many Calvin Klein categories isn't a Calvin Klein product. It's a product that rents the Calvin Klein name. Number 2. Diesel. Diesel built its identity on premium denim with an irreverent, rebellious edge. And for a while, the product backed it up. But based on my analysis of their current lineup, the gap between price and substance has widened considerably. Diesel jeans currently retail between $180 and $400. The denim itself, based on independent fabric assessments, is typically 11 to 13 ounce weight. Perfectly adequate, but nothing that justifies a $300 price tag. For context, brands using genuine Japanese selvage denim from mills like Collect or Kuroki are producing jeans at similar or lower price points with measurably superior raw materials. What Diesel is selling at this point, in my estimation, is brand nostalgia. The marketing machine is still running on the fumes of a cultural moment from the early 2000s. The product, however, has quietly drifted toward the middle of the pack, while the price tag stayed at the top. And the number one brand, robbing you blind, Burberry. Now this one is going to be controversial, because Burberry trades on a heritage narrative that goes back to 1856. And parts of that heritage are real. Thomas Burberry did invent gabardine. The trench coat is iconic. But here's the part the marketing leaves out. Large portions of Burberry's current product line are manufactured overseas in facilities that also produce for brands at a fraction of Burberry's price point. Their signature check scarves, retailing around $470, have been the subject of multiple independent cost analysis estimating material and production costs below $40. Burberry's own financial disclosures show the cost of goods sold at roughly 35 to 40% of revenue, meaning for every dollar you spend, around 60 cents is absorbed by marketing, retail overhead, and profit margin. None of that is illegal. None of it is even unusual in luxury fashion. But when a brand charges you $500 for a scarf and leans heavily on a heritage story to justify it, you deserve to know that the heritage is in the marketing, not necessarily in the product sitting on the shelf today. Based on the data, Burberry exemplifies the gap between legacy and current value better than almost anyone in the industry. Now, these are the kinds of truths that brands pour millions into making sure you never hear. If this kind of transparency is valuable to you, consider subscribing. We break down industry pricing and expose what's really going on behind the label every single week. Now, the brands that prove you don't have to choose between your wallet and genuine quality. 5 brands where the money actually goes into the product. Heritage pick number 5, Filson. Founded in Seattle in 1897, originally outfitting prospectors headed for the Klondike Gold Rush. What makes Filson remarkable isn't just the history, it's that the product still reflects it. Their rugged twill collection uses a proprietary cotton twill that has remained largely unchanged for over a century. Their bags and jackets are still manufactured in their own Seattle factory. Based on independent durability testing and long-term wear reports from outdoor communities, Filson products routinely last 15 to 25 years with regular use. Their Mackinaw Wool Cruiser, priced around $395, uses a dense virgin wool sourced from American mills. The cost per year math on a Filson piece often works out to less than a fast fashion jacket you'd replace every 18 months. In my assessment, Filson is one of the rare brands where the heritage claim is verifiable down to the factory floor. Number 4. Grant Stone. This is a brand that almost nobody outside of footwear enthusiast circles knows about, and that's precisely why the value is still extraordinary. Grant Stone produces Goodyear welted dress shoes and boots, using full-grain leather from tanneries like C.F. Stead and Charles Weinheimer. Their boots retail between $300 and $380. Based on construction analysis from cobbler forums and independent reviewers, the build quality is consistently compared to brands charging $600 to $800. They achieve this by operating a vertically integrated factory in Xiamen, with direct oversight from their Oregon-based design team. No licensing deals, no department store markups, no celebrity ambassadors eating into your price tag. Every dollar you spend on Grantstone, based on the teardown data, is overwhelmingly going into leather, hardware, and construction. That's increasingly rare, and the enthusiast community has noticed. Their releases frequently sell out. Heritage pick number 3, Private White VC. This is a Manchester, England manufacturer that most American consumers have never encountered. Their entire production happens in a single factory in Salford, the same factory that's been operating since 1853. Every jacket, every coat, every piece is cut and sewn under one roof by a team of craftspeople, many of whom have been with the company for decades. Their Ventile cotton jackets, originally developed for Royal Air Force pilots during World War II, use a densely woven cotton that's naturally water-resistant without chemical coatings. Prices range from £400 to £800, which sounds steep until you understand that comparable construction from Italian luxury houses runs $2,000 to $3,000. Based on factory documentation and production transparency reports they've published, Private White VC is one of the most verifiably honest operations in menswear. You're paying for a product made by people whose names the company actually knows. In my view, that's a heritage you can touch. Number 2, Merz B. Schwanen. A German manufacturer that's been making garments since 1911, and here's what sets them apart. They still use original circular knitting machines from the 1920s and 1930s. These machines produce a loop-wheeled fabric, a tubular knit, with no side seams that's softer, more durable, and more dimensionally stable than anything a modern high-speed machine can replicate. A Merz B. Schwanen t-shirt retails around $90 to $110. Before you blink at that price for a t-shirt, consider this. The fabric is made in-house in Germany, the production speed is a fraction of industrial output, and independent wear tests from denim and heritage forums consistently report these shirts lasting 5 to 8 years of regular rotation. Compare that to a Hugo Boss t-shirt at a similar price point that uses standard jersey knit from an outsourced mill. The per wear cost isn't even close. Based on the production method alone, Merz B. Schwanen is producing something that functionally cannot be replicated by a fast fashion supply chain. That's not marketing, that's engineering. And the number 1 true heritage pick, Ironheart. A Japanese brand founded in 2003 that has become the gold standard for heavy denim enthusiasts worldwide. Ironheart is known for their 21-ounce signature denim, nearly twice the weight of standard jeans. Their fabrics are woven exclusively on vintage shuttle looms at mills in Okayama, Japan, the epicenter of premium selvage denim production. A pair of Ironheart jeans retails between $325 and $375. Based on fabric analysis and the Self-Edge community's extensive documentation, the denim, quality, the hardware, the chain stitch construction, and the attention to finishing details are routinely benchmarked against brands charging 2 to 3 times the price. Ironheart also manufactures leather jackets, flannels, and outerwear with the same uncompromising approach. What lands them at number 1 on this list is consistency. Based on years of community feedback, teardown analysis, and independent review, Ironheart has maintained their standard without quietly downgrading materials or outsourcing production. In an industry where that kind of consistency is vanishingly rare, it makes them the benchmark. So here's the uncomfortable pattern hiding in plain sight. The brand's charging. You the most are often spending the least on the actual product. The ones quietly producing exceptional garments are spending almost nothing on convincing you to buy them. That's not a coincidence. It's a business model. The first group needs you to never ask what things cost to make. The second group is betting that eventually you will. And now you have the numbers. You've seen the markup math. You've seen what factory cost looks like versus retail price. The question isn't whether you can afford the heritage brands. In many cases, they're priced the same or less than the overpriced ones. The question is whether you'll keep subsidizing a marketing machine or start investing in products that were built to last. Here's what I'd suggest you take away from this. 1. Before you buy anything over $100, spend 5 minutes searching for the brand's manufacturing transparency. If they won't tell you where it's made, that silence is telling you everything. 2. Learn to recognize the difference between fused and canvased construction and tailoring. It's the single fastest way to separate real quality from costume quality. 3. Check enthusiast communities. Reddit, Style Forum, Superfuture. The people who actually wear these clothes every day for years have data that no marketing campaign can fabricate. 4. Calculate cost per year, not cost at checkout. A $400 jacket you wear for 15 years costs you $27 a year. A $150 jacket you replace every 2 years costs you $75. The expensive choice is almost always the cheap one over time. Real heritage isn't a story a brand tells you. It's a standard a brand holds itself to when nobody's checking. The brands on the right side of this list have earned that. The ones on the wrong side are hoping you never find out the difference. Drop which brand shocked you most in the comments. I read every single one. And if someone you know is about to drop $500 on a logo, send them this video first. It might be the most valuable favor you do for them this year. If you want more breakdowns like this, where we go line by line through the brands fighting for your wallet, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the next one.